Hi friends, it's Chari. Today I'm creating a card using the new Dotted Moon and Stars backdrop die. Now this die comes in the portrait orientation where the lines go up and down in portrait as well as landscape. Of course you can turn it if you want it to be horizontal, and you'll see some examples of that at the end of this video. So I'm using the landscape version for my card today, and I'm going to be cutting this from some mermaid cardstock. And what I really love about this backdrop is, in addition to the little dotted details, it cuts out those stars and moons, and you can layer another color behind it to really make them stand out. Now for my card today, I'm going to be layering a piece of sunflower cardstock behind it, and I'm cutting this down to be the same size, but actually 1/16 smaller, just so it is inset from the edges slightly, and I don't have to worry about lining it up perfectly. So this will layer behind this background, but before I do that, I'm going to do a little bit of inking on the sides. So I'm going to use some mermaid ink with a blending brush on the mermaid cardstock, and you can see that this is just going to very subtly add some darkness to the edges, and it kind of makes those dotted details pop a bit more on those edges. I'm not going to worry about the bottom because I'm going to be covering that up with a piece of green cardstock for some grass. Now I'm just putting some liquid glue kind of all over it. You can see I traced around all four sides. And I'm using the liquid glue so that I don't have to worry about a tape runner showing through those openings that are closest to the edge. Now I'm using the cute little mama and baby elephant that are hugging from the Elephant Parade stamp set for my card today. And I'm just going to stamp this on a small piece of Nina Solar White cardstock in some jet black ink and color these cute little elephants with my Copic markers. I'm using some toner grays for the big elephant. So you can see there I started with that T5 and colored in my shadows. Now I'm going in with that T3 and blending them out. So I'm just filling in everywhere with that T3, moving up to the trunk and pulling that T5 in the shadows away from the edges, tracing around the edges of the ears, and then I'll just fill in the rest of the head and sort of flick it into the center of the ear. I'm going to be coloring that ear in a pink color. And then now you can see I'm just going over in those shadows again and sort of darkening it up a bit. Now I do like to kind of change up the colors a little bit, especially when I have two critters that are the same color families right next to each other. So after I color in the ears with this R11, and I'm also going to go ahead and color in the ear on the little elephant, I'll be using some different grays for the baby. So I'm using some warm grays. Now the warm grays and the toner grays are not too far off in color, but I feel like they're different enough to where it doesn't look like one big gray elephant. You can see that that baby has a slightly different tone of color. And then for the ends of the tails, I just used a really dark gray. Now I can use the coordinating die to cut out my image, and this is the only image that I'm using on this card today. For this sentiment, I'm going to be using a combination of Henry's Jr.'s ABCs as well as the Henry's ABCs die cuts. So I've already put my letters on a block, and I'm using some rainforest ink, and I'm going to stamp out the word sending, and then I'm separately going to stamp out the word hugs, and I'm going to be making an extra long wide sentiment banner. It's going to be longer than what the die cuts, and I'll show you how I created that and how I hid the seam between the two banners. So that's why I'm stamping hugs to the far right, sending to the far left. I'm just going to cut them apart so that I don't accidentally cut one of them with my die. I'm going to line up that sentiment banner die with the word sending justified to the left. And you can see that I don't even have a full banner here, but that's okay because I'm going to cut it. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the hugs, but it's going to be to the right. Now I have my Henry's die cut letters that spell out the word big, and this is going to go in between these two. So what I'm going to do is start by gluing down the B where it needs to be. And then before I glue down the eye, I'm just going to place it where it's going to be, draw a little pencil line behind that letter. Then I'm going to trim off my banner, and I'm going to glue the eye to where half of it is touching this sentiment banner. The other half is sort of hanging off the side. I'm going to go ahead and put the G on this side so that I know where to trim this banner. And then I'm going to end up doing the same thing, figuring out where that eye is, draw a line, and trim it off. Then I can glue the left side of this one behind the eye as well. And then I've created myself a custom size banner that's longer than what my die cut would have created. And everything's hidden behind those die cut letters. Now I need some grass for my little elephants to sit on, and I decided to pull out this dark green from the Textured Dot cardstock pack. This is the tropical colors that has this dark green, and I'm just going to cut it with a simple grassy hillside border. Then I'll just glue this directly to the bottom of that dotted moon and stars backdrop that I cut. And then I'll just add that entire panel to a card base. And for my sentiment banner, I just put a piece of foam tape all the way across the back. That's also going to help reinforce that seam that's behind the eye. And I'm just lining that up at the top. And then I'll add some foam to the back of my elephants as well and center them on that grassy hill at the bottom. Now I thought it would be fun to add some glitter details to this. It would be really fun to put glitter paper behind those openings, which I have done in a card in the past. But for this card, I decided just to add glitter to those die cut letters. And then here is my finished card, and I didn't add any embellishments around it because that backdrop really just makes those embellishments for you with those cute little moons and stars. Now let's take a look at some cards from the design team. Megan used the landscape backdrop but turned it so that the lines are horizontal and created this cute scene with the elephant and the hot air balloon. I love Maureen's take on a sewing room with that cute little stitched elephant, and that background really helps with that stitching theme. This card by Rebecca is so sweet, and I love the look of this cut from some rainbow pattern paper. I really love the clean and simple look that Yainea created by cutting this from white and backing it with some dark colored cardstock behind. Mindy used some nice soft colors to create a cute little baby card, and I love that hot foil sentiment that she used. This card that I created actually uses some glitter paper for the moons and stars, and this is a perfect backdrop for a scene. Callie cut her background from pearlescent vellum, and I just love the sheen and the soft colors that she created for this baby card. Elise created a simple set of baby cards using that background and that big, bold Hello Baby sentiment. And the Marines card is so beautiful, and she backed this with some black glitter to make those moons and stars really stand out on that inked background. Here's a baby card that I created, and I cut the background from some spiffy speckles and used all those soft pastel colors for that baby card. And then Audrey's card is so pretty. She stenciled the clouds over some craft and also used the pearlescent vellum for the clouds at the top. Here's a few more cards using that pearlescent vellum. I love Grace's giant stack of ice cream and her popsicles. I love that you can kind of see through them as if they are really popsicles, and you can see that stick inside. And on these cards, Grace used that pearlescent vellum for the cupcake wrapper of those cupcakes, which I think is very clever. And then here's some cards by Kara. She made some flowers out of that pearlescent vellum to make a beautiful basket of flowers. And then here is another look at the card that I created in today's video using the dotted moon and stars backdrop. Thanks so much for watching. Have an amazing day. Bye!